Tuli ne Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro mumyuka wa mwogezi wa National Unity Platform Joel Senyonyi nga tuli wano mu ggwanga lya America atabuse n'ava mu mbeera agamba ye ebya 2026 temubimugamba era twabinyegako mu bisirikire mu bikwekeeyo mu bikunta byammwe kubanga ye ali mu lutalo era bannayuganda bali mu lutalo agamba nti enteekateeka zonna ziwedde ez'olutalo kasiggu ez'olutalo kafungula nkete olugendo okujja mu M7 mu ntebe ng'abavubuka bannayuganda bannankyukakyuka abakadde abakyala abaami bajjajja bonna bali redde okugenda beeyiwe ku makubo okugenda beeyiwe ku nguudo okujjako gavumenti ya M7 agamba nti bulijjo National Unity Platform kyenoonya kyebadde epanga era nga yakifunye kiri mulaala byonna yamaze obitegeka enteekateeka ziwedde okulaba nga bannayuganda basituka okugenda okujja ku gavumenti ya M7 agambye bwe ziba kuvuga zigenda kuvuga bwe biba bikompola bigenda kubwatuka naye nga M7 tagenda kukkirizibwa kutuuka mu mwaka gwa 2026 ng'akyali president era nti tayagala M7 afe ng'akyali president wa Uganda ayagala afe nga Kyagulanyi Sentamu Robert Bobi Wine ye president nga Museveni bamukwata dda ali eyo ali mu kubonaabona na misango gyazizza ku bannayuganda agamba nti bannayuganda mwenna gye muli mukomye enkola ey'okwata ensimbi ne muziwa abantu sekinoomu abali ku social media ku mitimbagano nga babalimba mbu bagenda kugula mmundu mbu bagenda kugula bomu mbu bagenda kwokya bibuga mbu bagenda kujja ku gavumenti ya M7 abagambye abo baffere balimba batume bakolera mu M7 bakolera nakyemalira nti bakola nga batumiddwa mu M7 bakole ekyo basobole okudireyingisa struggle nga bajjamu ensimbi nti munaagenda okusabibwa ssente ezo Secretariat ya National Unity Platform okugula amazzi okugula emmere okugula ebikozesebwa mu lutalo olujja very soon ng'ate ensimbi mwazeemalako dda kati naakuutira nti temuddamu kuwa bantu sekinoomu nsimbi abali ku mitimbagano abeesomye okuŋŋaanya ensimbi musimanya bagenda kugula mmundu bagenda kugula bipande bagenda kugula motoka z'amagye bagenda kugula bomu bagenda kugula butwa abagambye abo baffere batume bakole ekyo okusobola okustressinga oba okusobola okumalamu struggle amaanyi mugenda okutuuka ssente okuzeetaaga ate okuziteeka mu struggle eya ddala ng'ensimbi z'abaggwako nga byabaggwako dda agamba bano bakwasa bukwasa abaana bwe bamala okufuna ensimbi ezo nga basomera abaana nti ate mufune ebipiira mukole bwe muti ng'ate amala bayita abatuma nga babasomera nti tubagambye bayimirire wano bwe bagenda okutandikira mugende mukwate embwa ezo ng'abaana bafiira mu makomera babeera mu makomera batulugunyizibwa olw'abantu abo sekinoomu bwe muwa ensimbi ku mitimbagano ng'abalimbye nti bagenda kujja ku M7 agambye ensimbi zonna ezinajja ku M7 zirina kuyita ku kitebe kya National Unity Platform Secretariat so simu bantu sekinoomu abali ku mitimbagano nti nno bali mu propaganda beenoonyeza byabwe era mubabuukire ddala naye ayongedde n'akiggumiza nti nkiddamu nga nsinza wano mu ggwanga lya America gavumenti ya M7 tugenda kugijjako ayagala butayagala era enteekateeka zonna ziwedde ne President Kyagulanyi Sentamu Robert Bobi Wine okulaba gavumenti ya M7 efuuka lufumo mugisomekungako busomi mu Byafayo mu ggwanga lya Uganda kusaba neegatteko tufune Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro okwogerako wano mu Diaspora Convention USA 2023.
The relationship between the diaspora and the people back home on the front line. That is the foot soldiers. She has ably asked a question of what is being done to rally the young people to the streets. What we need to do is to build capacity. We have identified the problem, and that problem that we have identified, we are cognizant of all the challenges, but then we must build the capacity. And to us, who are doing whatever we can to build that capacity, it cannot be done in isolation of your existence, because fundamentally you have been the #1 financiers of struggle, and I want to thank you for that. You have done this to the amazement of us, but also to the shock of the dictator. Every time we travel to where you are, you know what is castigated back home. that we are here to merry-make, but not only to merry-make, that we are being funded by the Western powers. And that is not true. NUP is not funded by any Western power. And no Western power has even influenced the ideology of removing Museveni to us. We are the ones selling the idea to stop the West from funding the dictator, because I can tell you who are in the room that without the billions, USA gives 1 billion shillings to Uganda per year. And this comes in terms of amare, in terms of tear gas, in terms of whatever, and this money is unaccounted for. But the president has unequivocally told us that these monies that are given to General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, it has no accountability. He uses it as he wishes. You had political parties receiving money to stop a war that will never be stopped. Nobody will stop this, nobody. And that is a fact, because we are yearning for change, and change is a fact of life. So we cannot run away from the fact of life. And we are the change we have been badly needing. We are the change for us who are here. And it is important that your capacity, your inspiration and aspirations to have Uganda liberated must not be bogged down, and that is the underlining word, must not be bogged down by ineptness of our foot soldiers or us who are back home. We must work together, both those who are in the diaspora and those who are back home. But then we have had the challenge, and I speak this as one of the leaders of the foot soldiers, but as also a person who has been on the front line, on ground. What should be our interaction? What should be our limitations? Because it is dangerous. And you command back home for war. A good general must be on ground. I know many of you are good generals, but we must have some alignment. To have this work, there must be alignment. Because for us, we have the demography, we know the terrain under which we are operating. And that terrain, you can be best advised by us who are on the front line and have liability of public trust. There are challenges we have faced as the Secretariat. People get involved in activities not sanctioned by us, but of course for us we support anything that is pro-change. That has been our stand. Anything that will remove Museveni will have the backing of the National Unity Platform, in whatever form it comes. But that does not mean for us we are up to something. And what we are up to is what we are organizing and building capacity for. So it is important that we don't break the chain of the capacity that we are building. Ladies and gentlemen, I am speaking with clarity. It is dangerous if we break the capacity we are building. If you mislead a foot soldier to an activity that later deprives us of his availability for the cause of the real struggle, and sometimes the people back home, because of you not being in touch with all of us, use the window of speaking directly to you to sometimes also take you for granted. Somebody convinced somebody in the diaspora, I don't want to say names, that they were going to burn down a certain town. So these people were having all those materials of burning that could suppose they could burn down a town. And they were taking pictures to confirm that they are going to do it. But they were not going to do it. They were only taking pictures for the person in the diaspora to send them the money. Now imagine, the day we will need the money, it will somebody else, a masquerader, will have taken it. The Bible says, tuzala mibiri, tuzala, tuzala mibiri simyoyo, tuzala mibiri simyoyo. Tuinamu bafoot soldier nga twabazaala emibiri naye nga tetwabazaala myoyo. Ngezaako I want to speak with clarity because this has affected us. We don't want you to be gullible to things that are going to tire you in this struggle. I don't know whether you're getting me. We don't want you to be gullible, to go for what will not work, to go for lies, because amongst us still, we have people who have not fully understood what we are up to. We have people who have taken this as personal interest, and we are too busy to chase everybody because we must be focused to remove the dictator. And we want you not to stop empowering us, but you should empower on something that is not a lie. Do not empower deceit and spend on deceit. There is no single individual who will carry out an assault and remove Museveni in Kampala. That is a lie. That is why we are building capacity to be, to have the numbers and overwhelm them with the numbers. And that capacity we are building, we want to assure you. So we don't want to break that chain. And many times it is broken. Without doubt, there are people in prison because of recklessness and negligence. But this recklessness and negligence was precipitated by our own. And I believe you understand what I'm saying. There is a story in the Dominican Republic. Somebody in the diaspora, I'm talking about the Dominican Republic, hired members from the diaspora in an Arab country to go back home and carry out a coup. And at the time they were doing so, this person was an informer of the state. So they empowered an informer of the state in the Dominican Republic, and this informer of the state worked with the foot soldiers of the Dominican Republic, and there was nothing they were working for. They were all netted and taken to prison. And that affected the capacity of the people of the Dominican Republic. Now that example should quickly go to your minds. We don't want such scenarios in this revolution, where the able generals that we have built, whose capacity has been built by your institution, we are losing them to either disappearance, tiring, because we are not organized. Feel always free to interact with the Secretariat on very serious issues. Because at the end of the day, we are the backstop. Once all those things happen, then we call Benjamin. Benjamin, you have to put on your suit and go to court. Because it will still come back to the national unity platform. There is no day we will wake up and say, because we want to remove Museveni. But do not force us to align ourselves to what is happening, even if it is wrong. Because sometimes we don't want to leave our own in the wilderness. So we move with you. But we should be organized. We will remove Museveni. I want to repeat it here. We will remove Museveni. And Museveni knows it, because we don't fear him anymore. We fear the capacity that he has built for 40 years, and it is what we are working on. Some of us, thank God, we have conquered the fear. We no longer fear whatever he has been organizing in building capacity. And we are passing on this message to everybody. So the foot soldiers are a very important component, and you should continue to support them individually, those of you who have done it on a basis of their individual capacities. But do not overwhelm them with duty. Do not overwhelm them with duty. Because even what they can't execute, they will desire to execute it, because there's something that comes from this side. So you would rather keep it cordial, truthful, such that we go forward together. Fatanyayo. We want to move in the same direction, because truth be told, we need to build the capacity. We all know what we are going to do. We all know it. My boss knows it. Benjamin knows it. My deputy president also knows it, what we are going to do. But we must build capacity. We must not be naive that we are just going to wake up in the morning, go on the street, and it is done. No, we must build capacity. And that capacity we are building is not done overnight. Why we are here is to build capacity. To make sure that the financiers no longer have that capacity to finance the junta. Such that whatever activities we have in stock, we have a lot of activities in stock against Museveni. But then there are things we must do before the real activities are carried out. That the international community must know that if there is ever a fight in Uganda, they funded the fight. And we must do that maximally. So we want to implore our comrades that the relationships with us back home on the front line should be guided. Some of our people are lost in admiration of your being in the diaspora. So they will not tell you what is possible and what is impossible. It is important. I know even here there are some foot soldiers of the diaspora. I always see them. Those of you who go out and protest every day. Kabuye, Boston. People say you are my brother. I'm here to do a DNA test. You do a good job and remain consistent. What we are trading in this revolution is commitment and consistency. Do not tire. Do not think that it's going to come overnight. Somebody said we go there 15. Even if you go there 2. Even if you go there 1. That voice you use that day is being heard by another ear that you do not know. We need to pass on the message and pass it on relentlessly. The more you get involved in removing Museveni, the more you will understand why we remove Museveni. The more I have been involved in thinking and seeing what we should do, is the more I have satisfied myself that I am born to remove Museveni. Let's give it the time and thought that we need to give it. Let us empower those who can. I'm very excited to see people in advanced age, our fathers and grandfathers, Amin stars. Please clap for them. It speaks volumes because it means we even have the wisdom of our elders. We have their backing. Nothing is good for a child to be backed by a parent when they are backing you for a war like we are in of liberating our mother nation. It empowers us. Guide us on ground. Give us the knowledge that we want, that we badly need. Some of us back home are not fully literate. If you can assist in understanding the few cores of our values as a party, to these people you come out and interact with, please do so, because it is going to assist us to align our army and use it for the purpose you all desire to have. I want to thank you for the time. I am a bit verbose. 15 minutes, I'm about to survive. Now, I've been seeing my boss Joel looking at me and saying, now this man has started speaking a lot. So I don't want to break the rules. But I want to implore you, comrades, first of all, to thank you very much. It is because of you that we look the way we look. Clap for yourselves. Whenever people say bali mukasente, I smile. Not because we are working with government, no, because we have a backing of comrades who decided that their everyday hustle should be part of the liberation of Uganda, and we shall forever thank you for that. And the only prize you will have is to come back to Uganda because tujja kubikola. So we thank you for standing with us. Advise us, don't mislead us, because on ground there, we don't want to lose any soldier informally. We want to be together, rank and file, because every struggle needs order, needs command, needs control. And for you in the diaspora, we must work together. We are aligned to work together. We must not work in isolation. We must be together. Let's build the ideas together. Let's build the front line together. Let's build the modus operandi together and topple the regime. Let's not do it with isolation. I want to thank you very much for giving me these 15 minutes. I know I have used 14 and a half. And I want to invite maybe 2-3 questions from the audience, and then I'll invite Honorable Katana Benjamin to come and also espouse on a very particular subject of great importance. Yeah, I'm getting the questions now. It will be difficult. I'll take the questions. Now you see I have a challenge. That is why you find it a problem. Let me begin with my grandfather there, Mr. Mtiaba. Mr. Mtiaba there is my grandfather. I have not seen him. I have never seen him. I only got the opportunity, and I'm glad he's the one who picked me at the airport. Sir.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very, very much, comrade. And I'm happy to be here today. This is our 3rd convention here in the United States. Now, my question is a little bit related to what we covered yesterday, but it's also related to the youth. I was trying to see how that federalism we talked about with Dr. I forgot his name, but he's sitting over there. How federalism would help the youth to kind of get away from that unruly situation we have in Kampala, move back in the villages and be more productive. Do you think that that would be an appropriate way to galvanize the youth to be more useful in the fight against the dictator?
Yes, another question. Yes, Mama.
Yes, my name's Abena Nakitio. I'm the coordinator, Colorado.
Nice meeting you finally.
And my question is, do you think we should wait for the 2026 elections, whatever we do?
You're asking me that question? Do I think we should wait for the 2026 elections?
Whatever we do.
Okay, thank you. Yes, lastly. Okay, I will take Zay's question last. Yeah.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Richard Miombia. I'm a political analyst for and defending people power and defending Uganda. I would like to ask this very serious question so that you can answer that. Based on what you said, we need two things. We need a freedom charter that every Ugandan can accept into liberating the country. The second thing we need is the creation of jobs, because the Museveni system, to this day, I've been in the liberation struggles for over 45 years, has not solved the issue of creating jobs, of which, if we wrote very well a freedom charter based on an example of Norway, we can liberate that country. Every time I've brought this question forward for the freedom charter, it has been trashed. So I don't know what we are after. Because the freedom charter itself, if I'm going to give you an example here, 1 minute. Recently there was a problem when this Toro man killed one of the minister in Uganda. The army was in chaos because for 40 years Museveni has oppressed the country using a system, using Ugandans into a security and military system. He has been paying them for the last 1 month. I don't know if you know that every soldier in Uganda has been paid, because the army was saying now we are going with the opposition. And the freedom charter is the only way out that we can bring the soldiers on board so that they turn against the very man who has been using us, the soldiers, on the population of the country. Why don't we adopt that policy of the freedom charter and creating jobs? That's my question.
Okay. I have been looking so much forward to meeting you physically, Mr. Muyombia Richard, because I have been listening to your presentations online. So I'm glad I have finally met you. And I can only tell you that we will discuss your policy with our team, understand it. Since we are here, we will accord you the time to understand what you're saying. Because I want us to differentiate two things. We are in a struggle. There are things that we cannot do because we are in a struggle. There are things that are difficult to even implement because they will not allow us for them to start. So we should be mindful of what we want, of the tasks that we want to give to ourselves. But as I have said, our elder, Mr. Muyombia Richard, that I've been looking forward to meeting you, we will dissect your views to the latter, such that by the time we leave this conference, this time, we have a way forward on whatever direction you think we should take. So I do not want to reply to the Freedom Charter that I have not read. I do not want to reply to a policy that I have not discussed with you. I will be lying to you. I will be pretending to be intelligent, yet how do you be intelligent with what you don't know? So I will label Benjamin there, is vast with a lot of knowledge, and Joel and others, Madame Jolie knows so much about policy. So if you have that document, let it be part of our program and the Secretariat to see that we dissect it and you are finally comfortable in Mutiaba, my grandfather is talking about federalism. Federalism can only work when we have toppled the dictator. So that's major on toppling this man. Let us not think about so many things. There is one problem in Uganda. General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, tusoke tumujewo. Then all these other things, we will align them. Because what are we struggling for? We are struggling to return the power to the people. And what do the people want? It will be done when they have the power. How will they get the power? Let us remove dictator Yoweri Kaguta Museveni with his team. And then these policies, this what? We will be sitting in these rooms to discuss direction. Let us focus on the direction of war, overthrowing the system. And that is what I believe in. That is what our focus is on, because we as a people have a lot of good things we can do. But we cannot do them when the dictator is still at the helm. And I don't want to be here and pretend that I don't know what happens. I mean, you talked about creation of jobs. If they are sure, the other day, Joel, my boss, tried to do something in Nakawa, his constituency, to the women, to the young girls and women, something like hygiene, improve their hygiene. They were stopped by the security. In Uganda, pads are taxed according to the parliamentary laws, but they refuse even, and pampers, but they refuse a person who has decided to give a helping hand to a girl child because of the system. So how will you create jobs when even giving out a sanitary pad, you are stopped by security? It's a crime. However, as I said, we should not be negative at issues. We will discuss these issues. But on federalism, I can tell you, my grandfather, that this federalism we are talking about, I have my own feelings about it, and they are positive, but I don't want to give it time until I'm satisfied that the problem is out of the way. Let us focus on removing the problem. And once we have removed the problem, the systems shall work because we shall have returned the power to the people. Bana nachitio. I know my colleagues, Benjamin and Joel, are very happy that this question has been sent to me of 2026. Now, 2026 is a national calendar. It is not a M7 calendar. It is a national. Elections are not from 7. Just like we are saying he's not the president, even elections are not his. And we should not be tempted to be chased away from what we are fighting for because somebody is using impunity to do it right. We all know that elections are cheated. We all know what we went through. Nobody would want. I was on the front line from the first day. Joel, there, I am yet to ask, I have not yet got the permission, but I remember that his thighs were subjected to anarchy and impunity. I'm trying to choose the right words, such that I don't describe the thigh how it was. I may not be given opportunity. But if I use anarchy and impunity, you know what they did to his thighs. We cannot run away from those facts. People were, my brother here, I've seen him for the first time, the journalist, my brother Kasiri. You all know what happened. So nobody would want to be in a process that stamps Genome 7. But then that election also put us somewhere. It built the momentum. First of all, what did we benefit from the 2021 election? We have the mandate of Ugandans. What we sold to Ugandans, Ugandans accepted, and they gave us the mandate. So today when I am speaking as the deputy spokesperson of a political party that was given power by the people. Nobody will ever take that away from me. So we won the election. And the question of election should not even be pondered about. We won it. Somebody just overturned the process. And for the first time, the way they cheated this election, they reached a time when they did not know how to cheat. And they used impunity. That is why by 2020, listen very carefully, by 2020, political parties were receiving billions of money. Do you know why they were paying them? Not for the election process, because we were in charge of that election process. Museveni never organized that election. We organized that election. He cheated an election that he didn't organize, because his election was, we are in COVID-19, we shall not have public rallies. Wasn't that his statement? We told him, go bury yourself. There's a word he said, go bury yourself, we will go to the people. And he told us we will not go to the people. You know what took him to stop us from going to the people? The Luka massacre. 50 people, 54 are on record. Today we are speaking because of what you all saw, the gruesomeness of the election. Should it be our focus now, that we focus on 2026? I don't think so. It should not be our focus. But we should not run away from the realities of the national calendar. Not that it should be our focus, but it is a reality of our national calendar. You know that Semogerere, Paul Kawanga, did not participate in the 1996 elections. And the state, I will be very open to you of the information that we know. The state believes that NUP will not participate in the next elections. They believe so, that we are not in the next elections. And you know what they are doing? They are propping up candidates for the next election, such that there is the vacuum that is of the NUP is covered by other imposters. And you will hear names and also get shocked, because for us we have some of the names. And we should be very careful. That is why for us as the Secretariat, as leaders, we are tactical and keenly looking at the turn of events as they turn. We cannot wait for the 2026 election to liberate our people. That will be very wrong of us. Can I repeat that? We cannot wait. Our timetable is not to wait, that we wait for 2026. No. But we must not arm the dictator that we will run away from the national calendar. It is not his calendar. It is in the Constitution. The reason we are fighting with Museveni is because he's breaking the Constitution. He's breaking the Constitution. And everything that are in the Constitution is what we must protect. There must be elections every 5 years. Those elections must be free and fair, and the person who has won that election must be declared. That is what we are fighting for. So we don't need to wait to have that. That is why we are here. Let us build the capacity to fight. Let us build the momentum, because that election gave us the momentum. That is why they spent billions of money trying to suffocate the momentum that was built in that bloody election. They can also be used as a tool to topple the system. Not basically that we are going to wait for his announcement, because he will never announce us as winners. That is a fact. But we are working towards forcing him to accept that we are winners, because we are winners. This revolution, lastly, on that matter of elections, is organic. None of you knew that Bobi Wine would be your leader. I believe when he sleeps, he also asks himself some questions. How this whole business is in, how it started in his mind, and how he ended up here. I know sometimes he poses that question within himself. But the revolution is organic. It's not, that's why we can't stop it. It is growing every day. And for me, I believe we should let it be organic. Let us handle events as they come. For as long as it is our timetable, not their timetable. I repeat this. It must not be their timetable. It must be our timetable. Of course, if we toppled Museveni today, and the power is back in your hands, still we can decide to organize ourselves the elections of 2026. The challenge is that people think Museveni is going to be alive and around forever. No. There will even be a day you receive the bad news that he's dead. I did not want to say good news. But as a human being, there is a day you'll get the good news that the man who has been disturbing this country is dead. I'm only working so hard for him to die, not a president of Uganda. So for me, I believe that to answer you strictly and straight, let's not wait for 2026. We can top on 7 tomorrow, the other day. Let us measure on the measures. However, the system should not chase us away from the national calendar. Let me tell you what we benefit from processes like elections. For example, they said we did not have support in northern Uganda. And they lost Olanya. You know what they did in that election? You would not have seen the support we have if the Secretariat did not decide that whatever they are going to do, let them do, but let us demystify their deceit and propaganda. Because we are not allowed, I am speaking to you this freely, but I may not be allowed to speak like this in Serena to the young people. But in an election, they will allow me to go to KOMERA Maido, pass the message of change, and at least influence and inspire 2 or 3 that have never seen any of us or heard this message. So we also use it as a momentum tool of knowledge to those places we have not fully penetrated. You've read about something called escapism in literature. Escapism, it is where somebody plays cards instead of eating lunch, thinking that when you play the cards, the time of lunch will go by itself when you have run to the game of cards. But even after the cards, you will still need to eat. So we should be very, very, very keen not to act out of escapism. God bless you. People power.
Our power. People power.
NUP.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
NUP.
Lastly, Mzee. Lastly, I'm listening. The microphone.
You, Honorable Mufumbiro, I think I get your point where you say 2026 is a national, it's our day, not Museveni's. I get that point that if you don't, they put other people to rationalize their winning the elections. Okay. Nevertheless, I would like to ask some questions. As an elder, I've traveled around, I've seen things. And one of the things I see is that all over the world, like say for the Jews who were killed during Nazi Germany, or for the Rwanda genocide, even in Uganda, we have Rwandese memorial sites for the genocide in Rwanda. We have had more genocide in Uganda, over 3 million people genocide. And I'm shocked and very perturbed to find that there's a certain kind of silence, there's a conspiracy of silence on the issue of genocide in Uganda by the Rwandese Tutsi refugees who took over our government. And I think it's a big mistake and emboldens Museveni and Kagame to continue bringing troops. You're talking about to have elections. Museveni is going to bring in Rwandese troops. He's going to bring in Burundi troops like they did last time and kill our people. So I feel that if we don't address the issue of Rwandese, Burundian Tutsi takeover of Uganda government, we are actually endangering our children, we're endangering our country. We have to internationally talk about an extremist Rwandese Tutsi refugee group that took over the government of Uganda. And I think it's a big mistake not to do so, because I did it, I was pushed out of Boston conference fact-finding meeting by one of the members of People Power. We are believing in democracy. If we believe to have democracy in the future for Uganda, then we have to practice democracy now. And when I'm, as a concerned elder who saw Rwandese come to my country, We help them in Toro. So for that reason, I'm saying, please, and it will be good for the Rwandese. And I tell everybody, I have children that I've paid tuition for that are half Rwandese. My nephews, my nieces. So my point is, please, let's address this issue, because if we don't, it's going to be like in Congo. Right now in Congo, they're hunting down Rwandese. And in fact, I was talking to my half Rwandese child. I was telling him, maybe you go to Toro, because when things turn around, you may be a victim. People are very angry. So let us deal with the Rwandese. You Rwandese who are here, and your members of this leadership here, do not stop us indigenous Ugandans from addressing the issue of your extremist Rwandese refugees who have taken over the government of Uganda and have killed 3-4 million people. It's a big mistake. And so I'm requesting that this issue be addressed to the world, not only in Luganda, because I've found that the bloggers are only talking in Luganda. People naturally don't understand Luganda. People in Toro don't understand Luganda. Because that can be done. You do it for internal people listening in Uganda, but we want the Americans to know what's going on in Uganda. We want to know that Uganda, the situation is not a normal dictatorship. That the dictatorship there is a refugee takeover. The American government intentionally put a refugee group like they did in Niger. They put an Arab, 0.8 Arabs in Niger. This is a new way of creating dictators, because they know the natives will not stand for it. They will not sell out their country, because we have 31 million tons of gold. That's why we've been dying. They want our gold.
Thank you.
Okay, so let us address the issue of Rwanda's takeover of Uganda government and the killing of 3 million.
Thank you. Now, please clap for Mzee. He has a very serious issue, but I want to tell you two things. One, we should be very extremely careful. Extremely careful not to break the national grid of what we are chasing for. Number one, let me give you the statistics. Most of the Rwandese are in Mitiana, Chivoga, where she comes from, and other areas. We want squarely where they are. Because if they are living in Uganda, they are not living in an isolated Uganda. The problem we have in Uganda is General Museveni. You have described him properly, his origin, and I don't want to doubt, because people say he's not a Ugandan, and I've also studied, and I don't find where he's a Ugandan. Now, just a minute. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. No. I have categorically stated that I have read. Let me say what I've said again. I have read, and I have not read anywhere that he's a Ugandan. That is what I said. So it means I'm confirming that he's not. Because if I had read and I had seen that he's a Ugandan, I would say he is. So I was being polite to say he's not a Ugandan, but by using too much English. Now, but I don't want my point to die out. There, I pray I finish. We have a problem in Uganda. And the problem is General Museveni. Before I look at his tribe, God has given me the ability to identify the problem. The problem is you man called Museveni. So I want to remove this man, whether he's Congolese, whether he's Chinese, whether he's Indian, whether he's Russian. I want to remove that man who is identified as Museveni and all his cronies. Because inclusivity of his cronies, the person who massacred the people in Kasese was Elwelu. So shall we leave Elwelu? Because we are looking for a particular group of people. Everybody who has done heinous crimes against Ugandans, they will pay. let's not discriminate. I'm telling you, people who are doing big. Yes. So we know the problem. Let's attack the problem. And the problem is Museveni. Whether it's Andiz, whether it's Tusi, whether it's him as the problem. And his cronies. Because we know them. God has given us the ability. We know the problem. To call on so many other fights is to run away from the problem. The problem is General Museveni. With his background, whether it is Rwandese, whether it is what, he's the problem. And I can tell you folks, let me tell you, even if the Rwandans want to take over Uganda, they can't. We are big in number by population. Statistics are clear. And we have not stopped. Ugandans are still doing it well like they have done it before. So for me, my problem as Waiswa is Genome 7. I don't look at who he is because it no longer matters to me. He is the problem and his people. And that is where our focus should be. In my considered opinion, because I would not have, like he said, he has half children. He calls them half, but he has children who are Rwandese. Okay? And I believe they subscribe to his understanding. Let us not disempower those who are with us in the fight. Let us focus to empower everybody for as long as they are with us. Our accountability is anchored on batulabira kuki. Because some of those who have betrayed us are our own. Okay? So we should not isolate the challenges we face. Ourselves, being that you Soga, that we are going to also discuss it further. For me, I speak things the way I understood them. And definitely, we will have a lengthy discussion about that. Tell you that quiet against genocide in Uganda. I'm here telling you that Museveni murdered 54 led by a commando. At the problem on the front line. Let us not look for proxies. You know, there's no reason why you want to fight somebody very far when there's this one that we want to attack. Once we have removed Museveni, even these people who think that have been empowered by him, they will run in the morning. For us in Kampala, what we have done is to identify property. Awani, Yafuna Watia, Afuna Meka. We have all those processes. You get my point? People power, our power. They are very tired the other side. People power, our power, NUP, everywhere. When the struggle is over, to immediate. We shall wear the victor's crown. We shall wear the victor's crown. When the struggle is over, we shall wear the victor's crown in the new Uganda. Benjamin Katana, please come and speak to the congregation. Like this brother of mine, and for him, you'll allow me to say it. Sometimes people have defined him as a Rwandese. But he's a Ugandan. He's a Munyankole actually, not even a Rwandese at that. So some people, even me, one of the reasons I died every day to tell people, you people, I am a Musoga. Some people would say that because of my handsomeness, that our handsomeness looks like the people from there. I thank you, the ladies, for the hand clap. So I decided to assure them that if you want to know how handsome Msoga is, then I am the true copy. So sometimes it is disempowering when you are attacked falsely and you're on the front line. And I want to implore us to really examine by judging people by their actions, not by their background. It is very, very important that I wanted to make that point and say it with clarity. At this time, allow me to invite my brother here. He's going to give us a very strong presentation. Please listen to him, because for us who have got the chance to listen to him, have always got wisdom from his presentations. And we thought it will be cheating of us for him to go away. He is always a man in the background, but it will be cheating of us if he does not share whatever he has to share. So my brother, you have, I know we had given you too much time, but we have cut it now to about 15 minutes. Please, thank you.
Thank you.
Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro, mumyuka w'omwogezi wa National Unity Platform. Ebigambo bye mubiwulidde. Akuutidde nti tulina kusosolegana mu mawanga. Tubeere kimu lwe tujja okulaba nga tufuna obwetwaze bw'eggwanga lyaffe ng'obuyinza bwaffe budda mu ngalo zaffe nga bannayuganda. Tuba tunaasosolegana kiyinza obutaba kya muwendo, kiyinza okutaba kya mulembe. Ba amaka mangi kati galimu abaana abalina omusaayi gw'Ekinnarwanda ane nga bannayuganda. Mugenda kubateekawa ffenna kati tuli omuntu omu. Obuzibu bwa Uganda, Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro agamba nti buli muntu omu mwami Yoweri Kaguta Museveni yekka yalina okuva mu ntebe kuba yakoze ebikolobero ebituuse n'okwevumya bannaffe, ebituuse n'okwekyawa bannaffe, naye ate nga tebalina buzibu. Kati nno akuutira nti mwenna bannayuganda gye muli, mumanye omulamu omukulu gwakuggyako Mwami Museveni oba tutya Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro bw'asaba nti mwenna abali mu diaspora, mwenna abagabi b'ensimbi, abagaba ensimbi nga mwaba foot soldier, mwandibadde omulimu guno mugwetegereza nga mugaba ensimbi nga mukolagana nabo ng'omuntu ku muntu kumuyambako mu mbeera eya bulijjo alina kyagala okumuyambako, naye nga temubawa ssente nti za struggle okuggyako Mwami Museveni. Nti bangi bajja balimba foot soldier nti tugenda kugula mmundu, tugenda kugula biso, tugenda kugula byambe, tugenda kugula masasi, tugenda kugula bomu, tugenda kugula byambalo okuggyako gavumenti ya Mwami Museveni, naye nga babalimba bali mu bookesa era baagala bo nsimbi zaabwe za kulya nga bo abantu kwekyakalya naye nga ssente si za struggle. Era agamba nti mulimu abantu nga ba-informer oba nga bakolera Mwami Museveni nga bali ku social media kuno ng'oli ayogera nnyo n'asuula ennyenje nga mulowooza muna struggle ng'ajja kubasaba ensimbi nti mumpe ssente nze ngenda kugula mmundu nziggyako Mwami Museveni, naye nga bya bulimba, ali mu bibye, ali mu kupanga kusibisa baana na kubattisa. Nti kino bakirabye abantu bangi abasaba ensimbi ne bagetaageta abaana ne babalimbalimba olumala obbateeka mu trap abaana nga bakwatibwa. Kino kijja kufiiriza National Unity Platform basooja abalwanyi namige abatendekeddwa abavumu obutalo bwonna butandise abaneetaagibwa okulwana ate nga baawambibwa dda baabuzibwawo. Kino olwekyo mukomye ebyokukwata ensimbi ne muziweereza abantu obuntu nga babalimbye nti bagenda kugula mmundu, bagenda kugula masasi, bagenda kugula byambalo, bagenda kujja gavumenti ya Mwami Museveni nti abo balimba. Olutalo olugenda okujja ku Mwami Museveni lulina kuva kamwokya era lulina kuba nga lutegekeddwa bulungi nga bali mu nteekateeka nti okusobola okujjako Mwami Museveni naye nga si bya peregeesi oli okujja okubalimba ng'ali mu bibye, ali mu katembawe just kwerira kasente. Alex Waiswa Mufumbiro yoyo n'ebigambo bye nsubire bibaddemu nno gunna obifunyeemu ekyokuyiga. Nsaba olw'obulungi bwabyo wandizemu n'obiwuliriza ate n'obisindikirako munno ne n'asobola okubiwuliriza n'afuna obubaka buno kubanga bwa mulembe bw'amaanyi bugenda kutuyambako mu struggle gye tulimu ey'okufuna obwenkanya mu ggwanga lyaffe. Mbaagala nnyo, mwebale kubaako, mwebale kutwagala. Omukama Katonda nsaba bankuumire, tujja kuba tuddamu twogere. Mweraba.